This is the MacBook Pro 13-inch from 2020, and it's one of, if it's not my favorite laptop ever made, it's really high up there. Now, you guys have been asking me since this came out, which model, which version should you get? And so today, let's find out. Gotta slam something down. What's up, everyone? I'm the Everyday Dad, and if I can figure it out, you can figure it out. So I'm really excited. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to the Apple website, we're gonna go down every option, and I'm gonna explain why I think you should or should not get certain things, and which model I would recommend to each kind of person. So let's get started. And I prepared this time, and I have everything plugged in and ready to go, so that we don't have to waste my time editing out the blank spaces later. Hooray! Who is this person that is prepared to make a video? Me, that's who. So first off, and something that I want to mention is the MacBook Pro 13 is split into two different lines. There's the base model, which this is, and then there's also the higher end model. Now the base model has a little bit slower RAM, it has two Thunderbolt 3 ports, and it has an 8th generation Intel chip, which we'll see here in just a second. The top of the line MacBook Pro has 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports, it has a little bit faster RAM, and it has 10th generation Intel chipset. So let's get to it. Get the new 13-inch MacBook $11.99 at our education store. I wish I was an educator. Does this count as an educator? Should we mark us down as educators for this? I'm not. I am not an educator. So first off, we've got the base model, the 1.4 gigahertz quad-core processor, which is this guy right here. It has Intel Iris Plus Graphics 645, 8 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM, 256 gigabytes of storage, and still has the Magic Keyboard. And again, like I said, it has the 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports. Now this, the bare minimum, the lowest end of the product line that you can get, I would recommend this to anybody that just wants to use this computer as word processing, as light browsing on the internet, or even an online content creator. I mean, I bought the same one, and we've seen in previous videos how powerful this device is, but it does have some limitations. And I think if I were gonna buy this to be my only computer, there are a few upgrades I would make. So let's go over here to the upgrade path. On this version, you can upgrade for $300 more to the i7 processor, which again is a quad-core 8th generation processor. You can go up to 16 gigabytes of RAM and up to a 2 terabyte solid state drive, bringing your grand total to $2,500 out the door for a 13-inch MacBook Pro. Now, what would I do in this situation if I were buying this to be my only computer? If we were gonna configure this base model, I wouldn't touch much. Like, I would just keep it at the base model because it is the base model. If you're looking at the base model, you're trying to save yourself as much as possible. The only thing I would maybe do is double your RAM. I would get the 16 gigabytes of RAM, bringing that price up to $13.99, around $1,400. That's the only thing I would upgrade on the base model. So let's head back. Let's go to the next thing up, which is the reason we didn't upgrade that base model, because of this guy. It has the same processor, the same graphics, it has everything else is the same, but for $200 additional, you get that double storage. So you get the 512 solid state drive as opposed to the 256 gigabyte solid state drive. This is where I would do the upgrades if I were gonna upgrade it. Again, I don't think you should buy the base model to upgrade it, but if you really had to, again, I would just do the double RAM for another $100, bringing you up to about $1,599, $1,600. If you don't buy the base model to upgrade it, don't do it. You're not getting that much performance difference. When you start adding up these things to the budget laptop, you're starting to take up more and more of your percentage of your budget. Like you're making big percentage increases instead of like little percentage increases. So I would not recommend buying the base model and upgrading it at all. So let's look at the upper end with the new processors, the new like cool guy stuff, right? So the next one is $17.99, has a 2 gigahertz quad-core processor, 10th generation chip, it's still an i5. It has Intel Iris Plus graphics, which I do believe is better than the base model's graphics. It has 16 gigabytes of RAM standard, and that's DDR4 RAM, which is faster than the DDR3 RAM. It also has 512 gigabyte solid state drive as base, and it comes with those 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports, which I think the double RAM, the double memory, and the double ports, that might be worth the $500 right there if you are looking to upgrade into a more powerful 13-inch device. So let's dig into this one a little bit farther, and there is one more level to this, so spoilers, we're not there yet. Now with this higher end model, you do get a few extra benefits. You can get a 10th generation i7 that can turbo boost up to 4.1 gigahertz. You can go up to 32 gigabytes of RAM, and this one also has a 4 terabyte solid state drive solution, which will bring you to $3,599, $3,600 for a 13-inch MacBook Pro. I would love, Apple, I know you're probably not watching this, but if you would let me borrow one of these, I would love to try one of these things out, because I bet that is a lightning fast portable device. Before we start talking about the upgrade pass here, let's talk about the last one that you can buy like base on their website. That's the 2 gigahertz quad core, same processor as the last one, i5. This one comes with 16 gigabytes of that DDR4 RAM, a 1 terabyte solid state drive, and everything else is pretty much the exact same. So if we go into here, you'll see we can make all of the same upgrade. Now we're at the top end. We've left the base model. I'm sorry, base model. We're leaving you behind. So now we're at the top end. What are my recommendations here? Because you're no longer just looking for a laptop that's good enough. You're looking for a laptop that you can take with you everywhere and have very good performance. So what I would do is I would absolutely take the i7 upgrade. Like, you gotta have the strongest processor you can get, because you're gonna need that processor for your integrated GPU. I would also, because you can't upgrade your RAM on your own, I would also double your RAM to 32 gigabytes of RAM. This next one's gonna be like, how long are you gonna be like unplugged from your normal environment? Are you gonna have external drives? Are you gonna have some kind of a NAS? I would personally probably stick with the 1 terabyte solid state drive, but I could also see a really good argument for the 2 terabyte drive, but that's pretty expensive. You can get a 2 terabyte drive externally for less than $400, so I would probably stick here, running you with $2,599. That's a pretty pricey laptop. You can get the base model, like the cheapest MacBook Pro 16. You can even buy a refurbished one with some upgrades for around this price. But you are gonna get a very powerful quad-core i7 10th generation, 32 gigabytes of RAM, and like, it's gonna come in a package this small. It's gonna have updated thermals. This is gonna be one of the best like Ultrabook type computers you can take with you. So which one would I recommend to what kind of a person? I would recommend the base model to somebody just looking into getting into the Apple ecosystem. I do not recommend the MacBook Air for people trying to get real work done. The MacBook Pro 13-inch base model, we've already seen, is a fantastic device. It's very powerful for the price. The 8th generation chipset is not that bad compared to what you would have to spend to get the newer chipset. You can always buy external solid state drives. They're not very expensive anymore at all. The RAM is kind of where you're gonna get into trouble. If you're gonna need a little more oomph, then I would not recommend that base model to you. Who I would recommend that higher model to is those that are creatives that are always traveling. Traveling with a 16, 17-inch laptop, it's not a fun experience. Trying to use those on airplanes, trying to use those on buses, trying to use those in just like crowded coffee shops, that's a pain in the butt experience. So if you can get really good quality, really good performance out of a smaller machine, that's what I would recommend. Go ahead and get the top of the line, max it out to this model for $2,600. You'll be able to do all of your work on the road. It's just gonna take you a little bit longer to do it. So you'll be able to do video editing, photo editing, all of that stuff from a tiny computer that has 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports on different sides. So you might not potentially just be left to one port if you have a really big charger. So what are your recommendations? What do you guys think would be the best MacBook Pro 13 for somebody to get? Leave me a comment down below. I would love to hear. And if you liked this video, and if you don't believe me because you're new here and you haven't seen my other MacBook Pro videos, if you want to see a video that shows just how powerful this can be, this is the video I made showing that this could be your only video editing computer. And you can click right here to watch. Click, 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 click. Thanks for watching.